Hi everyone, okay, back with video number 6 now, showing my entire DVD collection, over 4,000 titles, showing them alphabetically. Thanks very much for the comments so far, I really appreciate those. I hope these videos can reach more movie lovers, because I think there's all types of movies here, something to appeal to everybody, and maybe a few surprises for some of you. Okay, here we go. Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed with Peter Cushing, Hammer movie. Harrison Ford and Roman Polanski's Frantic, pretty good thriller this one. Really important movie to me, this is Gene Hackman in The French Connection, absolutely love this film. And let's follow up The French Connection 2, this time directed by John Frankenheimer. Meg Ryan and Kevin Kline in French Kiss. Alfred Hitchcock's Frenzy. Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel in Frequency. Matthew Broderick and Marlon Brando doing a parody of his Godfather performance in The Freshman. Salma Hayek as artist Frida Kahlo in Frida. And the first 4 of the Friday the 13th movies. The original is better, but this one's still actually pretty good fun, with Colin Farrell in Fright Night. From Dusk Till Dawn and its various sequels. A bit of TV here really, but yeah, Tom Hanks narrates this HBO documentary about the journey to the moon. Now I have the Ron Howard movie of Frost Nixon on Blu-ray, which stars Michael Sheen and Frank Langella, but this DVD is the actual interviews between Sir David Frost and President Nixon. Marlon Brando in The Fugitive Kind. Directed by Ringo Lam, this is Chow Yun-fat in Full Contact. Classic British comedy, The Full Monty. Bit of Elvis hip shake in Fun in Acapulco. George Segal and Jane Fonda in the original Fun with Dick and Jane, remade with Jim Carrey. And Michael Caine reprising his Harry Palmer character from the Ipcris File in Funeral in Berlin. Toby Hooper's fun carnival horror, The Funhouse. Quite enjoyed this one. And Michael Haneke's remake of his own Funny Games, this one starring Naomi Watts. Nicole Kidman in Fur, an imaginary portrait of Diane Arbus. A good Vietnamese action movie this, Fury. Furious 7, and yeah, just to add, I do have all of the Fast and Furious movies except for Fast 10 at the moment, but I have 6, 8 and 9 on Blu-ray. Sidney Tracy in Fury by Fritz Lang. Directed by David Ayer, this is Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf in Fury. And James Franco and Lucy Liu in Future World, but no, this isn't the follow-up to Westworld. I'm sure Solitary Ronin will be pleased to see this. This is the remake of The Gambler, which originally starred James Caan, but this one starring Mark Wahlberg. Michael Douglas in David Fincher's The Game. Directed by Jacques Rivette, this is Gang of Four. Martin Scorsese's Gangs of New York. Paul Bettany in Gangster No. 1. Great cast, but a bit of a disappointing film this. Gangster Squad with Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone, Sean Penn. Gary Cooper and Susan Hayward in Garden of Evil, directed by Henry Hathaway. Great movie this, directed by and starring Zach Braff with Natalie Portman there. This is Garden State. And James Caan in Francis Ford Coppola's Gardens of Stone. Fun little horror movie, The Gate. Love this one. I have a whole box set of movies on the artists Jean-Claude and Christo and their use of fabric in various situations. And this one is The Gates, directed by the Maysles brothers. And it shows them installing all of these fabric installations in New York's Central Park. Really, really great movie. Albert Finney as Churchill in The Gathering Storm. Clint Eastwood in a bus that gets shot to hell in The Gauntlet. From the team that did Microcosmos, this is Genesis. The Gentleman, directed by Guy Ritchie. I know there's been a follow-up TV series, but I haven't watched that. Classic Marilyn Monroe and Jane Russell in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. And Thomas Hayden Church taking over the Brendan Fraser role in George of the Jungle 2. Classic British 60s movie Georgie Girl with James Mason, Lynn Redgrave, Alan Bates. And directed by Gus Van Sant, this is Casey Affleck and Matt Damon in Jerry. And I also have another copy of it. Absolutely classic Michael Caine in Get Carter. Chadwick Boseman portraying James Brown in Get On Up. And Jordan Peele's modern classic Get Out. John Travolta, Rene Russo, Gene Hackman, Danny DeVito in Get Shorty. And Mel Gibson in Get the Gringo. Directed by Sam Peckinpah, Steve McQueen, Ali McGraw, The Getaway. And the not-so-good remake, directed by Roger Donaldson, starring Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger. Plenty of facial hair in the epic Gettysburg. And from 1947, Rex Harrison and Gene Tierney in The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. I do enjoy this one. Michael Douglas and Val Kilmer hunting lions in The Ghost and the Darkness, directed by Stephen Hopkins. And classic Bob Hope doing a bit of ghost hunting in The Ghost Breakers. Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. In Ghostbusters 2. Forrest Whitaker in Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, which you can get through Criterion as well, directed by Jim Jarmusch. Classic anime, Mamoru Oshii's Ghost in the Shell. Nicolas Cage, Eva Mendes in Ghost Rider. Low-key horror from 1981, directed by John Irvin, and with the great Jack Cardiff doing the cinematography. Veteran performances from Fred Astaire, John Houseman and Douglas Fairbanks Jr., as well as Patricia Neal. Ghost Story. Ghoulies and Ghoulies 2. Demi Moore in Ridley Scott's G.I. Jane. And James Dean, Rock Hudson, Elizabeth Taylor in Giant. World War II Navy drama Gift Horse with Richard Attenborough and Trevor Howard. And classic musical Leslie Caron in Gigi. Written by Richard Curtis and directed by David Yates, this is The Girl in the Cafe with Bill Nighy and Kelly MacDonald. And Noomi Rapace in the original Dragon Tattoo trilogy. Coming soon to Criterion, this is Michelle Rodriguez in Girlfight. A great 70s movie from director Claudia Weil, this is Girlfriends. Excellent movie from Celine Sciamma, who did Portrait of a Lady on Fire, this is Girlhood. Russell Crowe's wondering if you're not entertained by this series of videos in Gladiator. M. Night Shyamalan's follow-up to Split, Glass. Fun one from Doris Day and Rod Taylor, The Glass Bottom Boat. Really good prison drama this, Alan Alda and Billy D. Williams as well in The Glass House, adapted from a Truman Capote story. James Stewart in The Glenn Miller Story. Brilliant cast and a brilliant David Mamet script in James Foley's Glengarry Glen Ross. Julianne Moore in Sebastian Lelio's Gloria Bell. Great fun early movie from Doug Liman, Go, with Sarah Polley. A Vietnam movie directed by Ted Post, starring Burt Lancaster, Go Tell the Spartans. A prequel to Gettysburg, this is Gods and Generals. An empty Coke bottle is seen as being a gift from the gods in The Gods Must Be Crazy. And considerably cheaper than the Criterion set, this is the Godzilla collection. With all of these movies. Godzilla 2000. And Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster, Godzilla vs. Megalon. Roger Moore in Gold and The Last Time I Saw Paris. I must admit, generally speaking, I don't buy many of this style of double feature DVD. The quality on these is usually quite low. Gold Diggers of 1935. One of my favourite Charlie Chaplin movies, The Gold Rush. Disappointing this, but still not bad, The Golden Compass. Classic Ray Harryhausen stop motion in The Golden Voyage of Sinbad. Mike Myers and Beyonce in Goldmember. Directed by Ben Affleck, really good drama this one, Gone Baby Gone. And Ben Affleck again, but this time as an actor in David Fincher's excellent Gone Girl. This is the original Gone in 60 Seconds, directed by H.B. Halicki. So yeah, really trashy first hour, I guess, as they try and do some kind of story. But yeah, just wait for the final 45 minutes, and the car crazy action in this is just incredible. Steven Soderbergh's The Good German. Brian Cox and Paul Dano in The Good Heart. Robin Williams improvising like crazy in Good Morning Vietnam. Leone's classic, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. Directed by Neil Jordan, who did The Crying Game. This is Nick Nolte in The Good Thief. And Good Vibrations, about Terry Hooley, who was responsible for launching bands such as The Undertones. Excellent Good Will Hunting. Scorsese's Goodfellas. This is a Snapcase edition I haven't actually opened yet because I have it on various other editions. TV movie this, but John Thor in Goodnight Mr. Tom. The Goonies, directed by Richard Donner. Now, it's not a nostalgic favourite of mine, although I know plenty of YouTubers out there seem to absolutely love this as a nostalgic favourite from their childhood. Jackie Chan in Gorgeous. Robert Altman's Gosford Park. Halle Berry in Gothica, directed by Mathieu Kosovitz, who'd also directed La Haine. From director Milos Forman, this is Javier Bardem and Natalie Portman in Goya's Ghosts. And that Mrs. Robinson trying to seduce him, this is Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate. Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino. Wes Anderson's The Grand Budapest Hotel. A great ensemble cast here that includes Steve Martin, Kevin Kline, Danny Glover, and Mary McDonnell in Grand Canyon, directed by Lawrence Kasdan. From director Wong Kar-wai, visually beautiful film this, The Grandmaster. And before he found fame as a director, Damien Chazelle scripted this one, Grand Piano. Filmed in Super Panavision, this is James Garner in John Frankenheimer's Grand Prix. A heist movie from 1967, directed by Juliana Montaldo, starring Klaus Kinski, Janet Leigh, and a guest starring performance from Edward G. Robinson, Grand Slam. Ron Howard's early work for Roger Corman, Grand Theft Auto. Cary Grant and Deborah Kerr in The Grass is Greener. A hugely emotional work of animation this, Grave of the Fireflies. Certainly looks stunning at the cinema, Alfonso Cuarón's Gravity. And a double dose of Grease here, Grease and Grease 2. Dennis Quaid as Jerry Lee Lewis in Great Balls of Fire, directed by Jim McBride. John Malkovich and Emily Blunt in The Great Buck Howard. Directed by and starring Denzel Washington, The Great Debaters. And classic from childhood, Every Time at Christmas, The Great Escape. Alfonso Cuarón's dubious remake of Great Expectations with Ethan Hawke, Gwyneth Paltrow and Robert De Niro. And another TV adaptation, this one with Gillian Anderson and Vanessa Kirby. Directed by Jack Clayton, this is Robert Redford and Mia Farrow in The Great Gatsby. And then Baz Luhrmann's rather hyper remake, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Kerry Mulligan, The Great Gatsby. Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon in The Great Race. Just picked this up recently. Lee Marvin, Oliver Reed in The Great Scout and Cat House Thursday. Absolutely stunning western this with a devastating ending. This is Sergio Corbucci's The Great Silence with the great Klaus Kinski. Referenced in Steven Spielberg's The Fabelmans, this is Cecil B. DeMille's The Greatest Show on Earth. And with Max von Sydow, this is the epic The Greatest Story Ever Told. Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali in the Oscar-winning Green Book. And a classic British wartime murder mystery, Green for Danger, directed by Launder and Gilliatt, and with the great Alistair Sim. Seth Rogen in The Green Hornet. Director Frank Darabont's adaptation of Stephen King's The Green Mile with Tom Hanks. And directed by Richard Attenborough, this is Pierce Brosnan as an Englishman who went to live in Canada with the Iroquois Indians. This is Grey Owl. Bit of skateboarding in Grind. And must admit, I think this is great fun. This is William Girdler's Grizzly. 2-disc edition, very nice one. Werner Herzog's classic Grizzly Man, about Timothy Treadwell, who considered himself to be something of an expert on grizzlies, but came to a very unfortunate end. Matthew Modine and Daphne Zuniga in a medical comedy, Gross Anatomy. Sarah Michelle Gellar in the remake of Ju-On, this is The Grudge. And De Niro and Stallone battling it out in the ring in Grudge Match. Late career performances from Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau in Grumpy Old Men and Grumpier Old Men. And classic drama directed by Stanley Kramer, Sidney Poitier, Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. TV movie this, Tamsin Gregg in The Guilty. And Robert De Niro, Annette Bening in Owen Winkler's Guilty by Suspicion. Okay, I will leave it there. So that's now most of the G's, just a few more to go. But yeah, there is a playlist I've set up to put all of these videos together. So hopefully you can follow along that way at your own pace. I know I'm showing a lot of these movies quite quickly. So yeah, use that pause button. Please do join me again for more videos. I hope to see you again. Thanks again for your comments. Like, if possible, to help spread these videos out to other movie lovers. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you again. Bye.